Chapter 51. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You. Well done, Naruto said happily while looking at you. Uchiha on the side showed a fanatical look. Of course. Izumi's performance is also good. Naruto looked at the cold Uchiha Izumi next to him. He knew that the girl in front of him was eager to be encouraged. Sure enough, after receiving Naruto's praise, Izumi's mouth curled up slightly with a smile. Very good. With the help of the Kirigakure, we will definitely grow faster, Shisui also said with a smile. Naruto looked out the window. Reinforced concrete houses have gradually replaced the original wooden houses. The ninja world has begun the Industrial Revolution, but some places are still lagging behind. In the future, the development of industry will be more developed, and even Konoha will gradually erect high-rise buildings. The Hidden Thunder Village also has a powerful chakra cannon. If we want to say that the place with more complete industrialization now should be the Rain Country ruled by Nagato, or Pain. But speaking of it, the ninja world has developed to this extent, even simple computers have been formed, but there are no developed means of transportation, let alone airplanes that can fly into the sky. Some places are still carriages. It's really a wonderful world. This made Naruto exclaim that it was magical. According to Naruto's memory, there should be trains in the snow country now. Maybe we can build an airplane to play with in the future. After all, although the travel speed of ninjas is fast, it is still not faster than airplanes. Or in the future, we can develop time and space ninjutsu and directly teleport in space. Wouldn't I be able to dominate the ninja world at will by then? Of course, imagination is beautiful, and Naruto naturally knows that it will take a long time to develop to that level. Speaking of which, there are still many people in the ninja world who are engaged in scientific research, such as Orochimaru. Although Orochimaru is very good at biological knowledge, it is shown in the original work that Orochimaru's attainments in mechanics are also not shallow. He even developed a mechanical Naruto. The air ninja that appeared in the original work also has relatively strong technological strength. There is also Orochimaru and Jiraiya's classmate Hiriko, who is also a very strong guy in biology. In general, the guys in the ninja world are still very smart. Naruto's dream of the stars and the sea may not be impossible to realize. Naruto has not thought about cooperating with Orochimaru, but Orochimaru will be eaten without absolute strength without even a bone left. Now is not the time. Maybe when he leaves Konoha, he can talk to Orochimaru. The same is true for the other few people. When they don't have absolute strength, Naruto doesn't plan to find them. Konoha village, at this moment, Nara Shikamaru is playing shogi with his old man. Although Shikamaru is very young, he has shown enough wisdom, but he is a little too lazy. Shikamaru. How are you doing in the ninja school recently? Shikamaru's father, Nara Shikaku, suddenly asked. Hey! You want to disturb me? I won't be fooled. No longer the lazy look of the past, Shikamaru now looks energetic. There is no other way, facing his own old man, he can't help but concentrate. It's okay, a little boring, but there are a few interesting classmates. Although Shikamaru said this, he still answered the question of his old man. This time, Shikaku was a little surprised. Who could arouse such great interest in his son? Oh. Is it the orphan of the Uchiha family? Shikaku asked curiously. Although Uchiha Sasuke is a genius, it's not him. It's Uzumaki Naruto. Shikamaru said slowly, and his hands were not idle. He put down the chess pieces in his hand directly, forming a pincer attack. Shikaku slowly twisted the chess pieces in his hand, and gently put them down. The clamp formed by Shikamaru actually collapsed, forming a counter-encirclement. After a few moves, Shikamaru was powerless to turn the tide. I lost. Shikamaru put down the chess piece and said weakly. Is there anything strange about Uzumaki Naruto recently? Shikaku asked curiously. Although Uzumaki Naruto is not the strongest in the class, he has been very close to Uchiha Sasuke since the Uchiha clan was exterminated, and they all used shadow clones to go to school some time ago. Unconsciously, Uchiha Sasuke would show respect for Naruto, and between the two, Uzumaki Naruto was the main one. Shikamaru told Shikaku everything he saw. Hearing Shikamaru's words, Shikaku couldn't help but ponder. Uzumaki Naruto. Murmuring, Shikaku's memories could not help but drift back to the past, that sunny guy and that bright red hair figure. Minato, do you have any backup plan? Shikaku murmured. Father, what did you say? Shikamaru didn't quite hear. Nothing, Shikamaru, do you know his identity? Shikamaru immediately regained his composure. Could he be the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? Shikamaru combined what he heard with the rumors about Naruto the demon fox in the village and said thoughtfully. Yes, that's right. He is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Don't underestimate his potential. Every Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is an absolute powerhouse. Shikaku still didn't tell Shikamaru Naruto's true identity, although the third Hokage did not disclose Naruto's identity, as Konoha's military strategist, Konoha's think tank level existence. How could he not guess Naruto's identity? Yellow hair, Naruto's sky blue eyes. And there is Naruto's last name. Uzumaki. Born during the Nine-Tails Rebellion, who else but the fourth Hokage and the orphan of Uzumaki Kushina? As a friend of Minato, Shikaku has always felt a little guilty. Their Ino, Shikaku, and Cho clans didn't dare to contact Naruto at all. They were afraid of arousing the suspicion of the third Hokage and Danzo. Little did they know that there were only 2 people left in the Uchiha clan. Shikaku didn't know that Naruto secretly saved some of the Uchiha people. Is that so? Shikamaru looked at the complicated expression on his father's face. He knew that Naruto might not be just the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but he was smart and didn't ask any more questions. He knew his father would not tell him and he must have his reasons. Okay, Shikamaru, go and have a rest. After issuing the order to expel the guests, Shikamaru left, leaving Shikaku who was not sure what he was thinking about. In the early morning of the rising sun, Shikamaru rarely looked through the family records about the history of the ninja world, especially the information about the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. When he saw that the first generation of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki was the wife of the first generation of Hokage, he showed a surprised expression. And he also understood the horror of the tailed beast from a few words, and when he saw that the second generation of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki was actually the wife of the fourth generation of Hokage, Shikamaru was slightly shocked again, and the surnames of the first and second generations of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki are both Uzumaki. For a moment, Shikamaru seemed to understand something. The fourth generation of Hokage died in the Nine-Tails Rebellion, and the fourth generation of Hokage's wife Uzumaki Kushina also died in the Nine-Tails Rebellion, and this term of the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is named Uzumaki Naruto. Shikamaru quickly put the books he was reading back to their original place, and his mood could not calm down for a long time. Chapter 52. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The new semester started again, and Sasuke and Neji returned to school again. As if everything had returned to normal, Naruto began to tease Hinata as usual. He didn't know if it was his illusion, but he always felt that Shikamaru would look at him from time to time. Could it be? This guy is gay. Impossible. Impossible. Naruto quickly threw this unrealistic idea out of his mind. Even if Shikamaru was gay, he shouldn't have any idea about him. Sasuke is so handsome, he should go to Sasuke. Achoo. Achoo. Shikamaru sneezed twice and touched his nose. He didn't know that his image in Naruto's mind had changed. As the school bell rang, the classmates cheered happily. The time in the ninja school was not very long. The time left was actually the time for them to exercise themselves. How much they could achieve actually depended on themselves. Like the children of ordinary families, they would receive family training after returning. The larger the family, the more strict it was, and they would be more aware of the cruelty of the ninja world. This was particularly obvious in the Hyuga family. Basically, during the holidays, the families in Konoha would train their descendants in the family's secrets. Children from ordinary villages, however, did not have the same awareness as the big families, and therefore there was a huge difference between family ninjas and ordinary ninjas. Ino, I heard that a new store called Seven Colors Department Store has opened in Konoha recently, and there are many good things in it. Let's go and have a look. Sakura should have fallen out with Ino at this time, but because of Naruto's butterfly effect, Sakura did not fall out with Ino now, and Naruto felt that Ino did not seem to like Sasuke as much as Sakura. What Naruto didn't know was that in Ino's perspective, she would always look at Naruto inadvertently. Naruto was no longer the last one. With the training of physical skills, his body was extremely strong and the whole person was a lot sunnier. In Ino's eyes, Naruto was mysterious and very handsome. Therefore, the thought of Sasuke faded a bit, and more attention was paid to Naruto's identity, but Naruto didn't know it, and because of the relationship between Naruto and Hinata, Ino also hid his little thoughts. Ino listened to Sakura calling herself, and came back to her senses in a trance, stunned for a moment. Well. Naruto-kun, I want to go too. Hinata pulled Naruto's clothes. Her father had finally given her a few days off. She also heard about the recently popular Seven Colors shopping mall. She really wanted to go shopping with Naruto. Naruto was a little surprised. This was the first time Hinata invited him. Naruto smiled softly, touched Hinata's little head, and said, "Okay. I'll take you there." He turned to Sasuke and said, "Sasuke, I won't go to the practice today. You can practice with Niji and the others." Sasuke was speechless. He really forgot his brothers after getting a wife. With the current relationship between Naruto and Hinata, it's basically just a matter of verbal confirmation, otherwise anyone can see the relationship between the two, and that seven-colored shopping mall, isn't it Naruto's own business? I didn't expect it to be so famous in Konoha. Since cooperating with Mizukage Terumi Mei, the expansion speed of the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce has become faster and faster. With the Mizukage as a brand, the business is smooth all the way. As for those envious nobles, Shisui secretly used illusions to solve them. He even helped Naruto and his team expand their business. A group of people were walking on the road. Shikamaru drooped his eyes. He was pulled here by Ino, and the words of passers-by along the way reached the ears of several people. This newly opened shopping mall is really grand. I heard that he was secretly supported by a noble lord. I also said that this is the daimyo's industry. What do you know? I have a relative who works there. He said that even a famous person wouldn't dare to offend the owner of the Seven Colors shopping mall. He is a truly scary person. Old man Musashi, why have I never heard that you have such an awesome relative? Damn. A distant relative, my nephew's wife's sister's husband's brother-in-law. Naruto was speechless after hearing these conversations. Rumors are really scary. Several people continued to walk on the road. Sasuke was not interested in these things and left directly. Isn't this Naruto's work? Going shopping in the mall is not as good as practicing, but when Naruto walked by, there were always a few villagers who looked at him strangely, but maybe because Naruto has grown up a lot in these years, these villagers did not dare to be too presumptuous. After all, Naruto now has the power of a ninja. Walking into the commercial street, everyone soon saw a very lively place, that is, the newly opened Seven Colors shopping mall. There are a full range of products in it, which are classified into categories. Generally speaking, it has its own characteristics. Several people walked in and saw that not far from the entrance, there was a place selling clothes. There were many kinds of clothes, and there were many clothes that had never been in the ninja world. They were designed by Naruto with reference to the style of his previous life and the ninja world. Very popular with ladies and young ladies. Sakura and Ino chattered and went forward to try on clothes. Wow! This dress is so beautiful. The dress that Sakura liked had a cherry blossom pattern on it. The pink dress showed off her figure perfectly. It was a cheongsam suitable for little girls. Ino liked a light blue dress, also a cheongsam. The pattern on it made the girl intoxicated. Salesperson, how much is this dress? Sakura said to the salesperson excitedly. Hello, beautiful lady, this dress costs 1888 taels. Said the shopping guide with a smile. Ah. It's so expensive, Sakura said a little disappointed. The currency in the Naruto world is mainly tael, and one tael is almost equal to 10 yuan, of course, in Japanese yen. This means that the price of this dress is 18,880 yuan. Although Sakura comes from a ninja family, she is just an ordinary ninja. Sakura's pocket money can't afford such expensive clothes. If calculated according to the Chinese currency of Naruto's previous life, it would be less than 1,000 yuan. The author checked the exchange rate online. It may not be very accurate, please forgive me, just said it like this. At this time, Ino came over and said, see how much my clothes are. The shopping guide also smiled and said, your clothes are 2,188 taels. Bought it. Pack that one too, Ino said generously, and at the same time ordered to pack up the dress that Sakura liked as well. Ino. I can't have it, Sakura refused. Although she liked the dress very much, she knew that it was not okay to ask Ino to pay for it. Before she could continue, Ino blocked Sakura's mouth. Needless to say, you should know that this little money is nothing to me. When you become a ninja, you can make money and pay me back. Listening to Ino's sincere voice, Sakura showed a touching look. She knew that Ino was just saying that on purpose. In fact, she would never let her pay it back. Chapter 53. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Naruto looked at the blonde girl in front of him who had the words I'm rich written all over her face, and couldn't help but curl up the corners of his mouth. She was sending him money. Suddenly, Naruto saw Hinata's eager eyes and said, what's wrong? Do you want it too? Before Hinata could answer, Naruto took Hinata's hand and went to choose clothes, while Hinata's face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Naruto-kun, someone is watching here. Looking at Hinata shyly, Naruto couldn't help but grinned at Hinata's shy look. Is it okay when there's no one around? Ah. You can't do that when no one is around. Hinata's voice was getting smaller and smaller. Naruto knew he couldn't tease her anymore, or Hinata would faint right here. While a few people were strolling around happily, Konoha F4 had already started a meeting in the Hokage's office. Hiruzen. Recently, this mysterious Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce has begun to be established in the 5 major countries. I think it is very likely a conspiracy of others. Take a look at this document. Danzo was wrapped in bandages, with only one eye exposed, looking gloomy and terrifying. If the few people present were not all familiar with Danzo's current appearance, ordinary people would have been restless when they saw Danzo. The third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen flipped through the documents that Danzo took out. The .7 Colors Chamber of Commerce suddenly opened in many countries within a month. It is suspected that someone supported it. At the same time, the special sales method and products of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce are widely loved by the people. Not only that, the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce has long begun to develop in various countries. For example, there is a Seven Colors restaurant in their village. What surprised Sarutobi Hiruzen was the profit of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce investigated by Danzo. Although it may not be accurate, the huge benefits above make him feel a little excited. He couldn't help but glance at Danzo. Danzo might be jealous of the huge profits earned by the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce. It's just the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce. What conspiracy can there be? It's just a businessman. In this world, only power and strength are the most important. Hiruzen. You have also seen that the Seven-Colored Chamber of Commerce not only sells various products, but also weapons and equipment. What does he want to do? He definitely has a conspiracy. I think we must find out who is behind it. Danzo's dull voice came, with a hint of desire in his tone. Yuan Fei Hiruzen handed the document in his hand to Utane Koharu and Mido Kato-en. After the two of them looked at it together, they also showed a look of surprise. A mere chamber of commerce has monopolized so many industries. It doesn't look simple at all. I think Danzo is right. They must have a conspiracy. The two swallowed their saliva, and a desire arose spontaneously. Looking at the appearance of the three people, Sarutobi Hiruzen knew that the three people who had always been at odds might have to stand on the same front for the first time. For some reason, he felt a little agitated in his heart. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at the three people and said, "Let's wait and see about this matter. What conspiracy does a mere Chamber of Commerce have? But we still have to pay more attention. Prevent spy invasion." As soon as Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, the eyes of the three lit up, as the same Konoha F4, how could the three not understand what he meant? What he meant was not to go too far, to do it secretly and not let anyone know, and also to charge the other party with the crime of being a spy. "It has to be you, Sarutobi Hiruzen. No wonder why they say you are the Hokage." Mito Kato-en expressed his contempt for this, wanting to be a whore and also want to be a saint. Rarely, several people showed meaningful smiles. "We should first check the other party's background," said Utatane Koharu faintly. "Leave this matter to me, the root, because I am the root of Konoha buried deep underground," Danzo said righteously. In fact, Danzo wanted to swallow most of the benefits after the investigation was thorough. Water Country, Kirigakure, Mei Terumi is meeting with some high-level officials at this moment. They are all very satisfied with the cooperation with the Seven-Colored Chamber of Commerce, which is due to the outstanding performance of the Seven-Colored Chamber of Commerce in the past month. In just 1 month, they have received 100 million taels of dividends. This is because the Seven-Colored Chamber of Commerce is still expanding and needs a lot of money. When the industry spreads to the entire ninja world, the wealth they harvest will be even greater. By next year, they estimate that their next dividend may exceed 1 billion. So much money is still very rare for their Kirigakure. When they have money, they don't have to rely on the supply from the daimyo all the time. They can also expand the number of ninjas, build training grounds, forge weapons, and restore the strength of Kirigakure. Although they still have to provide manpower to the Seven-Colored Chamber of Commerce, those ninjas have commissions, which makes them even happier. Although the financial dividends this time are not much for the entire Kirigakure, the future prospects are clearly visible. Because of this incident, some different factions in Kirigakure have been more respectful to her, and they used to rely on the prestige of the marshal to support her. "Okay. Let's discuss that matter next," the marshal glanced around. His prestige was now even higher than that of the Mizukichi Terumi Mei. Recently, there have always been unknown ninjas investigating and attacking the Seven-Colored Chamber of Commerce. I suspect those ninjas are from the root of Konoha. The Seven-Colored Chamber of Commerce has huge profits, and the people from Kirigakure who are present basically regarded as their own industry. The reason why the marshal is sure that they are ninjas from the root is mainly because those people are too ruthless and cruel. The men sent by Danzo did not wear Konoha's clothes, but from the style and ninjutsu, they are undoubtedly the roots under Konoha Danzo. Moreover, in the ninja world, they are like dead soldiers, and from the skin point of view, the ninjas in other parts of the ninja world have rough skin and their appearance is also slightly different. These subtle features are all seen by the marshal. Since they want to pull teeth out of a tiger's mouth, let's make them pay the price, the crowd said angrily. Terumi Mei looked at the people in front of her without saying a word. It was rare to see this group of people unite and face the outside world in unison. Because the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce recruited their villagers, the current Kirigakure village has begun to prosper, business drives economic development, and after some people become wealthy, the ninjas receive more tasks. It's hard to see the hope of Kirigakure's revival, and Terumi Mei is not going to let others destroy this industry that seems to bring some happiness to Kirigakure. Now Kirigakure's mental outlook is really getting better. If someone dares to reach out, then chop off his claws. Leave this matter to me. I will make those guys understand that the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce cannot be touched. Terumi Mei exudes a powerful aura, and this power makes people around her feel extremely shocked. Terumi Mei's strength has become stronger again. She is worthy of being a woman who can control multiple bloodline limits. Everyone couldn't help but show a look of fear, and then disappeared, and at the same time there was a bit of excitement. Now they are standing on a united front. The stronger Terumi Mei is, the more benefits they will get. Chapter 54. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Kill. Kill these bastards. A ninja wearing a forehead protector from the Hidden Mist village cursed and attacked the ninja in front of him. For 2 months, there have been some scoundrels who have come to spy on the details of the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce. So Terumi Mei also sent more people. Even if no more people were sent, the Hidden Mist in front of him was willing to protect the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce. Because he was the only ninja in his family, and he was still a civilian ninja, and he didn't know when he would die in a certain mission. But since the arrival of the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce, his wife was recruited to work in the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce, and life began to become more interesting. Especially last time he was still on a mission, but his child suddenly became seriously ill and needed a lot of money for treatment. The medical level of the Hidden Mist village is not as good as that of Konoha, so the medical costs are naturally rising. Therefore, the price is expensive. He is still on a mission outside, and his wife has no choice but to borrow money from some relatives and friends, but no one is willing to lend this high fee. It's really a penny that makes a hero fall. Finally, it was his wife who went to the steward of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce to advance her salary so that her child could be cured. In fact, the salary was not enough to cover the cost of treatment, and in the end the steward even reduced half of the cost of treatment. Although he is not a hero, he also has his own integrity. Facing those who spy on the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce and want to take it for themselves, he must kill them at his hands, even if it means risking his own life. If he frowns, he, Shanchuan Zai, is not a man. Even if he dies in battle, Sayuri once said that the people of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce are very good to the people who work for them, and the orphans even have benefits, enough to support themselves. Men who have experienced the blood mist policy know. Such days have never happened before, and he will not let anyone break this peace. Water style, water wave. A ninjutsu was launched, repelling the enemy, and the shuriken in his hand was thrown without hesitation, and blood gradually stained the ground red, but Yamakawa Zai's arm was getting more and more sore. The swing of the kunai in his hand was getting weaker and weaker. The companions around him fell one after another. The wounds on his body were getting more and more. Damn it! Is this the end? On his deathbed, Sayuri and his child appeared in Yamakawa Zai's mind. A touch of happiness flashed across his lips, but at the same time, bitterness appeared. Seeing that a kunai was about to be shot at him, he no longer had the strength to dodge, and could only close his eyes in despair. Bang! Bang! 2 collision sounds rang out, and the kunai that was about to kill Yamakawa Zai was actually bounced away by another kunai. While Yamakawa Zai was stunned, a beautiful figure came into view. Red lips like fire, a slim figure, fair skin, dark red hair with long bangs, only one eye was exposed, emerald pupils, and a tight combat uniform, but it did not affect her beautiful face at all. This is Mizukage Terumi Mei. Damn it! Not only did Konoha want to get a piece of the pie, but even these wandering ninjas dared to come out and rob the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce's goods. Terumi Mei's beautiful face showed anger. The people of Konoha had been beaten back before, and now even these wandering ninjas dared to make trouble for Tai Sui. How brave! It seems that I am too merciful. Terumi Mei revealed a murderous look, and spit out a ball of hot liquid from her mouth, which directly melted the wandering ninja who almost killed Yamakawa Zai just now. A tragic cry sounded, but Yamakawa Zai did not feel cruel, but the joy of surviving a disaster. The remaining cats still wanted to escape, but Terumi Mei directly ended their lives with a water dragon bullet. Clean up the battlefield. Yes, Mei Terumi ordered, then turned to look at Yamakawa Sawano and said, "You are very good, you will be a special jonin from now on. And you are allowed to choose a ninjutsu." Yamakawa Sawano was overjoyed. He knew that this behavior made Mei Terumi very satisfied. In addition, if he gets a ninjutsu treasured in the village, he may be able to improve his strength to the jonin level. Even an ordinary jonin is enough. Just after cleaning up the battlefield, a ninja hurried to report, Lord Mizukichi. Danzo requests negotiation. Mei Terumi laughed coldly after hearing this. This old dog really has a good plan, that they already knew that it was Danzo who did it. In the days that followed, Danzo wanted half of the profits of the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce in the Land of Fire. What a big appetite. You should know that the most products of the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce are sold to the Land of Fire. The profits are so huge. How is it possible to want half of the profits of the Land of Fire right away? Mei Terumi strongly opposed it, and Danzo was helpless. After all, his behavior only represented an individual, and it was impossible to drag the entire village into the water. And there was no point in dragging the village into the water. The money probably wouldn't go into the pocket of Danzo. And other families in the Hidden Mist also sent a large number of people to resist him, Shimura Danzo. Faced with the disparity in the power of the enemy and us, Danzo retreated. And Danzo, with the help of Shisui, tied the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce to the chariot of the Hidden Mist village. What no one knew was that a company called Umbrella Cosmetics had quietly scattered its products among the major countries along with the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce. For a time, it attracted the love of a large number of women. Here, Mei Terumi had led the people of the Hidden Mist village to the location mentioned by Danzo Shimura. Lord Mizukichi, needless to say, if your Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce wants to expand throughout the Land of Fire, you must give me 50% of the profits. Otherwise I will stop you from running, Danzo said threateningly. Elder Danzo is really capable. Do you really think Konoha village can control all the towns in the Land of Fire? You are really more powerful than the daimyo, Mei Terumi mocked secretly. This made Danzo a little angry, because what Mei Terumi said was right. He really couldn't control the expansion of the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce in the Land of Fire. But it is still possible to create some trouble for the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce. For example, leak the news to the Wandering Ninja. After carefully investigating the size and wealth of the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce, Danzo was jealous. The seven-colored Chamber of Commerce can develop so fast. In addition to Naruto's ideas and thoughts, it is also thanks to Shisui's use of illusions to control many large and small businessmen and integrate resources into one place. That's why it can form a scale in such a short time. There is no point in saying more. Danzo, whatever you want to do, we will do it. I just want to see what you can do to us. At this time, a ninja from the Kazuna family said coldly, their family has received tens of millions of dividends from the seven-colored Chamber of Commerce in the past 2 months. How could they let Danzo get involved? Isn't this sending their own money away? Not only that, people from several large families who had been arguing in the past also stood up. Danzo's face turned green in an instant, and the anger in his heart was about to break through the sky. He didn't expect that Kirigakure was so strong, and the families that had always been at odds actually united to resist him. Humph. I've got it in mind. Just wait and see. Danzo walked away angrily, with a gloomy look on his face. Chapter 55. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Damn it. Damn the Hidden Mist Village, damn the Mizukichi. Danzo was furious after returning to the root base and smashed everything he saw around him to pieces. Master Danzo, please don't be angry, we still have a chance. At this time, a root ninja stepped forward and said. Danzo's eyes suddenly showed murderous intent. A wind blade appeared, instantly splitting the ninja in front of him and spilling blood on the ground, but the surrounding root ninjas were no longer surprised. This ninja was still too young. He joined the root recently, and he obviously didn't listen to the advice of his predecessors. Master Danzo is terrible and strange, no matter what happens, it's not strange. Drag him out and deal with him. Danzo's gloomy voice sounded. Yes. A root ninja appeared and dragged the body out. Damn Kirigakure, you dare not give me face, wait until I become Hokage, I will make you pay the price sooner or later. Danzo's cursing voice echoed in the room, and his hand couldn't help but touch his right eye that was wrapped in bandages. In the Hokage's office, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen exhaled a large puff of smoke. He didn't expect that he would even fail Danzo. It seems that Kirigakure is really the one behind the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce. It is very likely that in order to revive Kirigakure, the families of Kirigakure village have united to create such a huge industry, that the voice of the third generation was slightly hoarse, and the air was full of smoke, causing Danzo and the other two to frown slightly, but the most important thing now is to discuss the affairs of Kirigakure village. Danzo, let's leave it at that for now. We can't start a war. That the third generation knew that if he allowed Danzo to continue like this, the result would be the anger of the Kirigakure, and finally a war would break out. Although the third generation was also envious of the economic development, their fire country was already very strong and rich in resources, therefore, the third generation did not want to reach the point of breaking out a war with Kirigakure. Don't worry about it. I've made note of this matter, that as soon as Danzo finished speaking, the third generation knew that Danzo would definitely not give up so easily. Danzo, calm down. It seems that the route should be reorganized. We can't afford war, understand? If a war breaks out, other hidden villages will definitely take advantage of it, that the third generation said in a deep voice. Without the Uchiha clan, Konoha's combat power has declined a lot. Humph, Sarutobi. You will regret it. You are old. Danzo slammed the door again, leaving the three people looking at each other. The third generation snorted coldly. Danzo has been going too far recently, and he is not so respectful to him as a Hokage. In his opinion, Danzo is a complete reckless man, and he is not afraid, but worried that the peaceful life that he has finally achieved will be broken. What the third generation does not know is that with the increase of age, he has lost the spirit of a former ninja hero. People, in their old age, can't let go. Several people parted unhappily. As soy sauce, Koharu Udatane and Mitaman did not say anything and turned away, only the third generation was left silently in the office and began to review the documents. At this time, his slightly fluctuating heart calmed down. At the same time, there was a sense of satisfaction. 2 hours later, the third generation raised his head, looked at the time, and suddenly thought of something. He took out the crystal ball. After a while, a picture appeared on the crystal ball. Naruto's figure was revealed. Naruto, who was practicing, suddenly felt a sense of peeping. This feeling. Telescope technique. Naruto quickly used the Chakra dialogue room to inform Sasuke and Neji who were fighting. After receiving Naruto's notification, the two quickly reduced their combat power to the level of genin. Showing the normal strength of a genin, although a little stronger than an ordinary genin, and Naruto, sitting cross-legged on the ground, conceived his new ninjutsu. Naruto called it the wind control technique. In fact, Naruto disliked the trouble of using the moon step to fly to the sky, so he wanted to develop a ninjutsu that could fly with the help of wind power. Wind controlling technique proficiency +6, wind controlling technique proficiency +7. The voice in Naruto's mind proved that Naruto was not wrong, his idea was effective. And this is also thanks to the huge amount of knowledge in his mind. With the ninjutsu sponsored by the Danzo base, Naruto's understanding of ninjutsu has reached a very high level. Originally, Naruto's initial idea was to directly develop the ability to fly in the sky at will, but the pitifully low progress in his mind made him change the idea of directly creating flight, and then chose the less difficult wind control technique. It sounds like wind control technique, but in fact, as long as there is air, Naruto can fly. Even if there is no air, Naruto can control chakra to form a jet to achieve a similar effect of flying. I originally wanted to conduct a flight experiment, but the old dog of the third generation was monitoring, which made Naruto's teeth itch. Although it is also possible to construct experiments in the mind, in this case, it will probably take more time to form a ninjutsu. The ability of God's reward for hard work is not omnipotent, it is just an auxiliary. It still depends on Naruto's own efforts to go higher. And God's reward for hard work gives Naruto the ability to turn the impossible into possible. The third generation looked at Naruto, Uchiha Sasuke and Hyuga Neji in the crystal ball. Although he didn't know how Hyuga Neji got mixed up with them, the third generation could only attribute it to the mutual admiration between geniuses. Looking at the few people who were practicing seriously, the third generation was extremely moved. These young talents are the hope for the future of Konoha. He hasn't visited Naruto for a long time. Since the demise of the Uchiha family, the village has been short of manpower, so the third generation transferred Uzumaki Yugao away from Naruto, so no one reported Naruto's situation to him. From the previous reports, it can be seen that Uzumaki Naruto is a genius. He really deserves to be Minato's child. Thinking of Minato, the third generation couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Thinking of Naruto's life over the years, it might be that he didn't care enough about him when he was a child, and sometimes he couldn't even take care of Naruto in terms of money. No one knows whether the third generation can't take care of him or wants to tie Naruto to his side. After a while, Naruto felt the spy disappear. After meditating for a while, just when he was about to try out the idea in his mind, he felt someone approaching. Naruto was very familiar with this person's chakra. It was the third Hokage's. Why is he here? Naruto was a little surprised, then he put on a happy smile after seeing the third generation. Naruto, who had already mastered his acting skills to the maximum level, naturally came here casually. Grandpa Sanda, do you know that I have no living expenses recently? A 7-color shopping mall has opened recently, and my money is not enough. Naruto showed an expectant look, really expectant, Sanda. Forget about this. Naruto is good in every aspect, but he is a bit of a money grubber. The third generation showed a stiff smile, then took out a wallet from his pocket and handed it to Naruto. Naruto smiled and opened it. There were at least several thousand taels, and he happily accepted it. The third generation was as if his heart was pierced. This was his private money, and all his money was handed over to the family, although he had several places to hide his private money. Chapter 56. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The third generation showed a stiff expression, but as an old fox, he returned to normal in an instant. Naruto. You are still practicing hard. How have you been recently? The third generation tried his best to appear more kind. Naruto suddenly smiled and said, Grandpa third generation, I have been doing very well recently. I have met a lot of classmates. Look, we often practice together. It's just that training has been more laborious lately. Naruto said the second half, pretending to secretly glance at the third generation. The third generation was very satisfied with Naruto's appearance. He knew Naruto's performance in the ninja school. He was indifferent to ordinary people. But he was more enthusiastic. Doesn't this mean that he has a very important position in Naruto's heart? However, besides being greedy for money, this is a bit bad. Haha. Little Naruto, next time I come to see you, I'll buy you a few kunai. After saying that, the third generation left in a hurry. Hehe. You little brat, I can't control you anymore. A trace of disdain flashed through Naruto's heart. After the third generation left, Sasuke and Neji came over. In order to prevent the wall from eavesdropping, they talked in the consciousness space. Naruto, what is the third Hokage doing here? After being influenced by Naruto, the two of them didn't have a good impression of the third Hokage. The destruction of the Uchiha clan and the death of Hyuga Hisashi, the father of Hyuga Neji, were all caused by the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. In addition, they also knew Naruto's identity. The first person to know Naruto's identity was Rock Lee. Naruto did not tell the two of them about his identity at first. Later, in order to describe the darkness of Konoha and analyze the filth of the Konoha high-level officials, Naruto told the two of them his identity. The two were very shocked when they heard the news. They thought Naruto was just an ordinary orphan, but they didn't expect that Naruto was actually the orphan of the fourth Hokage. In terms of status, he was even more noble than them. Even though one of them was the young master of the Uchiha clan and the other was the son of the head of a branch clan. What shocked them even more was Naruto's living conditions. Simply. It's even worse than the average orphan. If Naruto himself wasn't capable, he would probably have to live in hardship forever. Isn't that right in the original work? He drinks expired milk, and when buying vegetables, he has to pick out rotten leaves that others don't want, and the price is even more expensive than ordinary vegetables. This also caused Naruto's height to be even shorter than Sakura at the beginning of the original work, and he was called a shorty. Unlike Naruto now, he has a very strong physique, and because he often eats meat and practices physical skills, he looks extremely strong. However, he is not the kind of muscular man who looks strong, but a perfect golden ratio body. It's ironic that a descendant of Hokage has to find a way to survive on his own. Konohamaru, the grandson of the third Hokage, seems to be equipped with a special jonin to act as a personal teacher. This treatment is really good. This old guy just comes to me from time to time to show his presence. This is the self-righteous method of attacking the heart of the third generation, using fire the name of what makes others believe in him, pretending to be righteous and moral on the surface is simply disgusting, Naruto said with disdain. In fact, I don't know how many bad things Danzo has done. Konoha will not last long in his hands, Naruto shook his head and said no more. The two of them were slightly moved, although they had heard some things about Sarutobi Hiruzen from Naruto before. However, every time they heard about the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, they felt very sad. The image of the third Hokage has quietly changed in their hearts. He is no longer so respectable, but just a corrupt and dark old man who is greedy for power. Forget it, let's continue practicing, Naruto continued, and the two nodded, and then they started practicing again. The fierce offensive was displayed again between the moves. Ningxi's reaction was extremely fast. After getting Naruto's practice method for the 6 styles, Ningxi combined it with the rubbing fist and created a set of 6-style rubbing fists of his own. Because of the rubbing fist, Ningxi has a deep understanding of paper painting, and there are common principles. Sasuke focuses on ninjutsu, but Naruto does not allow him to use large-scale ninjutsu, because it is easy to be noticed by the village. Because of this, Sasuke has fallen into a disadvantage, but Ningxi can't win for the time being. Although Sasuke's physical skills are not as good as Shaoli and Ningxi, but relying on the dynamic vision of the Sharingan, he can easily capture Ningxi's trajectory. Therefore, he can defend back and forth. Soft fist technique, 8 diagrams 64 palms. Ningxi seized the opportunity and continuously sent out phantoms with his hands. Sasuke's Sharingan was already operating at high speed, but unfortunately, even though he could see the trajectory clearly, his body could not dodge. Iron block, iron body. Sasuke hurriedly condensed chakra and combined with the original 6 styles to stay away, trying to resist Niji's fist. The iron block that Sasuke is using now is actually the iron block adapted by Naruto. In the original One Piece, how many people died under the iron block? They could have avoided it, but they had to go up and bear it. As a result, they were half crippled. Naruto was also inspired and made a big upgrade to the iron block with the help of the ability of God's reward for hard work. The current iron block can also be regarded as a complete training method. The lowest stage, iron body. The body is as hard as iron. As the name suggests, it is as defensive as steel. Combined with chakra, it becomes a kind of ninjutsu similar to ninja body technique effect. The defense is better than before. This is the stage Sasuke is in now. The next stage is to condense the bronze body. The body's defense will rise several levels again. And it can also strengthen the body's strength and activate body cells. If the first stage is pure defense, then this stage begins to undergo a qualitative change. Because he can enhance the user's strength like the 8 gates. However, the enhancement effect is not that strong. The advantage is that there are no side effects, and it mainly consumes chakra and physical strength. But don't forget, what is the role of the iron block? It is defense. Enhanced defense is the most important. And the realm after the bronze body is the golden body. Achievement golden body. The body is extremely hard, the defense is unparalleled, the chakra begins to be violent, and ninjutsu cannot be used. Because the chakra is in the riot stage, it is like opening the 8 gates, the combat power is greatly increased. Once the golden body is opened, the chakra consumption increases. It is not something that ordinary people can afford, and the physical fitness must be up to standard. And Naruto is only at the half-step golden body level now. There are basically no natural treasures in the ninja world that can strengthen the body, so Naruto's current physical strength is limited by his current age and body. The realm of the golden body is similar to the Reikage chakra mode. Every part of the body is a weapon. And the reason why he can achieve the half-step golden body is because the whirlpool physique and the super recovery ability provided by the Nine Tails. Otherwise, it would just be a bronze body. In Naruto's imagination, there is another stage, the indestructible golden body. At this stage, Naruto's imagination should have surpassed the level of Kage, and has achieved the transformation of flesh and blood, and the evolution of life level. It is a method that Naruto came up with by referring to some fantasy and high-level martial arts training methods in his previous life, combined with chakra, but the theory is not perfect. Naruto estimates that natural energy may be needed at that stage. And natural energy seems to be able to realize Naruto's idea of longevity. And natural energy is also a very advanced ability, at least above chakra. There is the potential to challenge the 6 paths. Chapter 57. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In this battle between Sasuke and Neji won with a slight advantage. After all, Sasuke cannot use large-scale ninjutsu. Sasuke still learned several A-level ninjutsu from Naruto, including the Rasengan. In terms of ninjutsu, Sasuke made rapid progress because of Naruto's guidance, and Naruto also made a lot of suggestions on Neji's physical skills. After all, Naruto is growing all the time. If it weren't for the current age, Naruto's progress would be even more terrifying. As for the soft fist, Naruto had no way, and the suggestions he made were only about what he knew in his previous life, but it also made Neji gain a lot, especially after getting Naruto's training method on chakra control. Neji's control of chakra has reached a higher level, and from a few words from Naruto, he realized the main family's soft fist method of returning to the sky. This is a ninjutsu that only the main family's senior ninja can practice. Through Zhoshin's chakra points, it releases high-intensity chakra, and resists attacks and defenses through rotation. You can also attack with this trick, but you need to get close to the target. In addition, under Naruto's suggestion, Neji tried to form the chakra released from the outer layer into a chakra blade. This is a change in the form of chakra, similar to Naruto's heavy rain Rasengan, but it is more difficult for Neji to condense it into a blade. It is expected to be mastered before graduation. After the two fought, the surroundings were already a mess, but fortunately, after cleaning up the environment, it still looked like a place for a battle between middle and lower ninjas. With the strength of the two, it is not surprising that they are middle ninjas, and the village will not doubt too much. After all, both of them are geniuses and often practice together. It would be abnormal if they don't have some strength. However, the strength they show now is still within the normal range. The battle between the two has stopped, and the two sat together panting, watching Naruto try to practice what he called the wind control technique. That is, flying ninjutsu. In the ninja world, the number of flying ninjutsu is as rare as space ninjutsu. As far as they know, only the 3rd generation of Tsuchikage can fly. The two of them don't know that there are ninjas who can fly in the Star Ninja Village. The ninjas of the Star Ninja Village rely on the stars to cultivate a large amount of chakra, so as to use the peacock magic to achieve flight. The peacock technique is a ninjutsu suitable for those with large amounts of chakra. At this moment, the two suddenly discovered that Naruto was actually floating cross-legged. Their eyes instantly widened and their pupils contracted. Expressions of disbelief appeared on their faces. Did Naruto really succeed? If Naruto knew that the two had always been skeptical that Naruto could perform a flying ninjutsu in a short period of time, he would definitely give them 2 slaps. Bang! A slight sound was heard, and it turned out that Naruto lost his balance and fell down. This made the two frown. Could it be that this ninjutsu has not been truly completed yet? At this moment, Naruto's brows were also furrowed, but the voice in his mind was still ringing, indicating that he had not taken the wrong path. Wind control technique +4, wind control technique +3, that he kept thinking, and his ability to work hard was constantly activated. What exactly is the problem? Naruto frowned, constantly thinking about what he had missed, but he always felt that something was missing. Ideas came into his mind one by one, and suddenly Naruto felt as if there was a light in his mind. That's it. With the help of wind flow and pressure effects, a vortex is formed. Before, I was too obsessed with gravity and using the power of wind to forcibly break away from the ground. Chakra forms external wind, floats on the flow surface, and constantly changes the direction of wind according to the external force to maintain balance. Just like the plane in the previous life. Naruto started trying again, and the chakra in his body was constantly mobilized to implement it. It is always more troublesome to do than you think. But the action also gains more. Wind controlling technique +11. Naruto's understanding and ideas about wind controlling technique became clearer and clearer. If he didn't have the ability of Heaven's Way rewards hard work, even if Naruto had the idea, it would take several years to develop this ninjutsu, because it involves a lot of knowledge. Heaven's Way rewards hard work is like an epiphany that reveals a little bit of insight in Naruto's mind. No. The chakra output method needs to be changed. It wastes too much chakra. Naruto's practice of wind control is like a progress bar, constantly advancing. Kurama. Lend me some chakra. Naruto appeared in the spiritual space and said to the Nine Tails, at this moment, the spiritual space has undergone earth-shaking changes. It no longer looks like a dark underground sewer, it looks sunny, but the big cage looks quite unsightly, but fortunately, Naruto has enough mental power to transform the big cage, and it has become the current super-large shape. The Nine Tails can move its body easily in it. It is no longer squeezed like before and can't even squat. Naruto, if you use my chakra, the people of Konoha will find out. Kyubi opened his eyes and said seriously. Kurama, don't worry. Naruto suddenly slapped the ground with his palm, and as the black seal rune spread, a small barrier was formed. Look, there's nothing wrong with this. Naruto waved his hand and said. What a great brat. Kyubi was surprised. He saw everything Naruto did and couldn't help but think of the Six-Paths Sage again. The young man would call out the names of the nine-tailed beasts and bring peace to the ninja world. Take it and go. I'm going to sleep. Then he fell asleep on the ground. Red chakra gradually flowed out of Naruto's body. Sasuke and Neji, who were wondering why Naruto used the barrier technique, understood after seeing this scene. It seemed that Naruto's training consumed too much chakra, so he had to rely on the power of the nine-tailed fox. The two were familiar with the matter of the tailed beasts, and Naruto had told them a long time ago. At this moment, Naruto planned to use the inspiration in his mind to complete the practice of the wind control technique. With the cooperation of the nine-tailed fox, this chakra became much tamer, but there was still a violent breath on it. However, Naruto's current chakra control was enough to control this power. Suddenly, a huge airflow blew up from Naruto's body, and the whole person flew straight into the sky. Directly rushed to the top of the barrier. I was careless. Fortunately, it was not a simple breath-isolating barrier, otherwise I would have probably flown out. Naruto adjusted the amount again and began to fly forward, but it was difficult to control the direction. In the next few days, Naruto continued to practice wind control. After Naruto solved the problem of direction control, he found that too fast speed would form wind blades, which would be slightly painful when scraping the skin. Adjusted again, covered with a layer of chakra, and solved it. After a few days, Naruto found that there was a lot of chakra wasted again. Wind controlling technique +6, wind controlling technique +7, with the blessing of God's way of hard work, Naruto began to constantly improve. 5 days later, Naruto was able to do it as if he were using his arms and fingers. The wind controlling technique had been perfected. Chapter 58. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sasuke and Neji looked at Naruto with reflective eyes. They watched step by step how Naruto perfected the wind control technique. Gradually, they changed from being incredulous to being full of envy. This is flying. Even Kage-level warriors don't have the ability to fly. The third Tsuchikage said it was flying, but it should be called levitation. It's just that he used the light and heavy rock technique to eliminate gravity, and then used chakra control to achieve the effect of flying. It's simply incomparable to Naruto's flying ability. Sasuke took a deep breath and said with eagerness, "Naruto, can you teach me this technique?" Looking at Hyuga Neji, who also had an eager look on his face, Naruto smiled and said, "Why, you want to learn? I'll teach you." Looking at the two people nodding their heads frantically, Naruto couldn't help but feel that pretending to be cool is really cool. "I can teach you, but I have to tell you something regrettable. My wind controlling technique requires wind attribute chakra first. As for you, Sasuke, it's fire and lightning chakra. As for Neji, if I remember correctly, you have fire, water and earth attributes. If you want to learn, go and cultivate the wind attribute chakra first." As soon as Naruto finished speaking, the two of them couldn't help but smile bitterly, having followed Naruto for so long, and often being asked by Naruto to cultivate and acquire various knowledge. The two of them are no longer ignorant people. They have already surpassed the students of the ninja school by who knows how much, both in terms of strength and knowledge. The cultivation of chakra attributes is a subject that only the senior ninjas cultivate. If you master the nature of chakra, you can basically cultivate the chakra attributes. Everyone is born with at least one attribute. If there is a corresponding chakra attribute in the body, it will make it easier to release the ninjutsu of the same attribute. Less chakra is consumed. Kakashi, who is said to have learned thousands of ninjutsu, has mastered 5 changes in chakra properties. In fact, the original chakra attributes of Kakashi were thunder, earth, and water. Among them, he was most proficient in thunder escape. The wind attribute and fire attribute were later. He is not very proficient in the copy ninjutsu he has practiced. Although he knows it, the power of the ninjutsu he is not proficient in does not become much stronger except for increasing the consumption of chakra when fighting against the enemy. In addition, Kakashi has always been a big mana consumer, so where would he find the time to practice the 5 ninjutsu? It is better to choose to master 1 or 2. In the ninja world, it is basically like this. The wars that have broken out all year round and the complicated tasks do not allow them to master all the abilities. This will only make them know all the abilities, but be extremely mediocre. What suits you is the most important. Now Sasuke and Neji know that practicing the wind-attributed chakra property change may take up most of their time, but the ability to fly is so tempting that they don't want to give up. So the two nodded to each other and said, "No problem, we will practice this ninjutsu." Decided? You should know that practicing this ninjutsu may slow down your speed of becoming stronger, and it will take at least half a year. Naruto's words made the two of them feel nervous, and then Naruto's words made them feel relieved again. But don't worry, although practicing the wind control technique wastes a little of your time, it is really powerful in saving your life. If you can't beat them, just fly into the sky. The enemy has no way to deal with them yet, Naruto said with a smile. At the same time, the two of them were more determined to practice the wind control technique. Very good, since you want to practice wind control, I can tell you a way to save a little time. You can use shadow clones to practice. Shadow clones can share the experience of practice with the original body, but you may not be able to bear the information after the release, so I suggest that you use at most 2 shadow clones to practice, Naruto explained. Not everyone is as thick-skinned as him. The original Naruto was thick-skinned, but he didn't know it now, but his huge mental strength was enough for him to easily bear the pressure of the information sent back. Hearing Naruto's words, people were suddenly shocked. Why didn't they think of this? They just used shadow clones to skip classes to practice before. In fact, they have already started to use shadow clones to practice, but they haven't thought of using shadow clones to practice ninjutsu. When Naruto mentioned it, the two of them instantly figured out the key. 2 shadow clones are enough to shorten the time by 2/3, that is to say, at most 2 months, the two can control wind control. Time went by day, and no one noticed these teenagers who were growing at an abnormal speed, especially with sufficient resources, endless opportunities ahead, and Naruto's guidance. The two were no longer on the same level as in the original work. With their current strength, they can already rival the Jonin. You have to know how old they are now, just 10-year-old and 11-year-old teenagers. Naruto looked at the two of them, and they were a little more mature and taller than a few months ago. Their skin had turned bronze. The two successfully mastered the wind control technique, but because of their chakra and proficiency, their flying speed was not as fast as Naruto's, and their endurance was not as good as Naruto's. After all, Mtlnovel was not a joke. At the same time, the two's iron blocks, indestructible golden bodies, had reached the realm of bronze bodies, and this was also because they had already started to practice weight-bearing at this time. And Naruto was not idle in the past few months. He successfully upgraded the shadow clone technique. Considering that the shadow clone was too fragile, Naruto studied the upgraded version of the shadow clone with reference to the wood clone. Not only did it have the ability to withstand blows, but its existence time was also greatly increased. What's a pity is that their strength is only half of the original body, and there can't be too many of them. At the same time, they can't use the moves of the indestructible golden body. After all, their predecessor was a shadow clone, which is understandable. As for Rock Lee, he has been practicing with Might Guy recently. According to Rock Lee, Might Guy recently began to teach him a very powerful forbidden technique. Naruto knew that this should be the beginning of teaching Rock Lee to practice the 8 gates. Now Rock Lee's strength has slowly fallen behind Sasuke and Neji, although there are 6 styles, but the 6 styles are also physical skills, and they all take time. With the 8 gates, Rock Lee's strength can be improved in a short time. According to Rock Lee's current physical fitness, opening 4 gates should not be a problem. When the plot begins 2.5 years later, he should be able to open 6 gates. As for the 7 gates, it is estimated that it is a bit uncertain. After all, the 8 gates will become more and more difficult to practice later. Might Guy also practiced for more than 20 years before he reached the level of opening 8 gates. Everyone has different talents. Kai has a talent for physical skills and works very hard to practice. Lee is about the same as Kai. As for who has better talent, Naruto doesn't know. However, Lee practices both the indestructible body and the 8 gates at the same time. The physical strength of the indestructible body can reduce the side effects of the 8 gates, so he should be able to reach a higher level. Chapter 59. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first thing that the 8 gates of Doinja requires is that the user must have a strong body to use it, otherwise, it is impossible to bear the burden of opening the 8 gates. When Naruto created the indestructible golden body, he considered physical training. The methods of physical training in the ninja world are very rough, so ninjas are high in attack and low in defense. Only a few ninjas have strong bodies. Therefore, when Naruto developed the indestructible golden body, he referred to various physical training methods in the novels of his previous life, but that kind of body that can destroy the world is simply unrealistic in the ninja world. But Naruto also gained something. Through the method of physical blood and chakra stimulation, he formed a unique practice method. Therefore, the practice of the indestructible golden body was separated from the iron block by Naruto. It is not very appropriate to call it an iron block. It is simply named after the highest realm of the indestructible golden body. The essence is the transition of the physical body and the strengthening of cells. In Naruto's conception, if you want to successfully practice the indestructible golden body, you may have to draw natural energy into the physical body. This is a bit similar to the Sage mode. Turning on the Sage mode can greatly increase the user's chakra strength, physical body, and the power of ninjutsu. But the indestructible golden body is a pure physical ninjutsu. It mainly improves defense and strength, as well as healing and recovery, and follows the physical technique route, but naturally, Naruto hasn't been exposed to it for the time being, so the practice of the indestructible golden body has temporarily stopped at the golden body stage. Shaoli practices the indestructible golden body and the 8 gates at the same time. In the future, he may not be able to get the realm of entering the 6 paths without opening the 8th gate of death. It is estimated that opening the 8 gates can beat ordinary 6 paths level existences. However, we have to find a way to eliminate the side effects of opening the 8 gates, otherwise he will die after using it once. Who can accept this? At least Naruto himself can't accept it. Even if the moment of blooming is dazzling. In the land of wind, Naruto walked slowly in the desert. This figure is Naruto's upgraded shadow clone. Before coming out, Naruto asked the Nine Tails for a large amount of chakra, just for the action at this moment. Now Naruto's shadow clone is just like the wood-style wood clone, and he is not stingy with the amount of chakra, and the reason why Naruto came to the land of wind this time is actually for Gaara. That's right. It's Gaara. It's getting closer and closer to the beginning of the original plot, and Naruto plans to contact Gaara in advance, even though Naruto is only half the strength of the original body now. With the blessing of Tiendo Chochin in the past few years, Naruto doesn't know what level he has reached. Anyway, he is constantly getting stronger. With the inspiration brought by Tiendo Chochin, Naruto feels that except for the lack of combat experience, Naruto can compete with the third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen for the title of Ninjutsu Doctor. Of course, Naruto doesn't think he can completely suppress Sarutobi Hiruzen in ninjutsu. After all, he hasn't lived for decades in vain, but Naruto has a huge amount of chakra, and he can completely rely on the amount of chakra to drag his opponent to death. The premise is that they don't perish together with their opponents. Naruto estimates that with his current strength, he should not be a match for the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen without the Nine Tails power. Naruto has the advantage in physical skills, and the third Hokage is definitely stronger in ninjutsu. As for chakra, the third Hokage is not even worthy of carrying Naruto's shoes. But the third Hokage is cunning and experienced, and who knows what cards he has hidden, such as the Shiki Fujin. Even Danzo has the trump card of inner four symbols sealing technique, but it's a pity that the original work is too useless. This place is even poorer than I imagined. Naruto was flying aimlessly in the yellow sand. The Kingdom of Wind was even poorer than he knew. No wonder Sand Village had to rely on the gold panning of a village's shadow to maintain the development of a village. The reputation of the Kingdom of Wind was really deducted, and Luasha's character was relatively weak. It was not like the Kingdom of Thunder, where basically the Thunder Shadow had the final say. There was a shortage of water in the desert, but fortunately Naruto knew water escape ninjutsu. In the desert, Naruto found that it took several times more chakra to use a water escape ninjutsu with the same rules. The power of using water escape in the Kingdom of Wind and using it in the Kingdom of Water could be 10 times different. Naruto looked at the map in his hand, which marked the location of the Sand Village and some oases. It was still a long way to Sand Village, but it was very close to the oasis. Naruto immediately decided to go to the oasis to rest. The wind and sand all over the sky made him feel a little uncomfortable. In general, it was because of the water and soil. In order to save chakra, Naruto immediately stopped and walked on foot. Suddenly a big black scorpion came out of the ground and attacked Naruto. Wind style, wind cutting. Naruto had already spotted the giant scorpion and was shocked at first. After all, he had never seen such a big scorpion in his past life. But then he found that it was not very strong, and he got used to it. Not only the giant black scorpion, but there are also ants in this desert that can bite people to death. Naruto encountered it once. It was a black patch, just like the desert marching ants that Naruto saw in movies and TV shows in his past life. Naruto flew away and did not provoke them. Although he could beat them, he would not admit that he had intensive phobia. Of course, in addition to ants, there are also sandstorms and sandworms. Naruto also met some ordinary businessmen from the Kingdom of Wind, but he did not talk too much. Others were also very wary of him, probably because they saw maybe it was because he was not a native of the Kingdom of Wind. Naruto continued to move forward, and soon he saw a hint of green on the horizon. The long-lost green made him seem a little happy. That's the oasis. Huh. Suddenly, Naruto felt something was wrong. A huge sandstorm appeared in the distance and blew towards this side. What surprised Naruto was that there was a caravan on the other side of the sandstorm. They seemed very panicked, but orderly. There should be a very experienced person in it. but their speed was obviously not as fast as the sandstorm. Naruto looked at the sandstorm. It was next to the oasis, not facing the oasis. But if he didn't take action, the group of people would be dead. And saving them would obviously consume chakra. On the caravan side, a middle-aged man who looked experienced shouted loudly, "Hurry! Go! We will be safe when we reach the oasis." A trembling voice came, "Old Owl. It's too late. We are not advancing as fast as the dust." "Damn it!" Looking at the people who were beginning to get restless, Old Owl yelled with all his strength, "Gather all the goods, hold hands, and put the camels on the periphery. And put stakes on them." Old Owl knew that his method could only save some people at most, and the role of camels in the desert was particularly important. His heart was bleeding if he gave up the camels. Under Old Owl's command, everyone held hands to increase the weight. The sandstorm was approaching at this moment, and some of the goods had begun to be blown away, and even some people were blown away, but they were held by the people below. Earth escape, earth formation wall. Wind style, vacuum wave. Suddenly, a circular earth wall was erected in front of everyone, covering them all. The people who were blown up immediately fell down. The sandstorm outside, whose core was broken by Naruto, began to dissipate. After thinking about it, Naruto decided to rescue these people. Chapter 60. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside the oasis, the huge sandstorm gradually dissipated, and the regularity inside was broken, so the sandstorm naturally could not be sustained. The dissipation of the sandstorm also allowed some people to gradually calm down from panic, followed by a sense of joy after surviving a disaster. In addition to the loss of a little bit of goods, there was no big loss. At this time, Old Owl walked in front of Naruto. He knew that Naruto was a powerful ninja, but he was not very tall. But it didn't matter, after all, the person in front of them could be regarded as their great benefactor. As Old Owl stepped forward, everyone also saw a figure wearing a bamboo hat and a long robe. He looked about 1.6 meters tall, not tall, but everyone did not dare to be disrespectful, because the person in front of them was not only their savior, but also a powerful ninja. Even if they didn't know much about the strength of ninjas, they knew that the adult in front of them must be a jonin, because the sandstorm just now could not be solved without the strength of a jonin. Old Owl walked up to Naruto and said excitedly, "Thank you for saving my life, I really can't repay you." Naruto nodded and gestured. The Old Owl in front of him was a middle-aged man in Naruto's previous life, but in the ninja world where the average age is less than 40 years old, he can be called an old man. After all, wars often break out in the ninja world, and the living conditions of civilians are not very good. Although there has been industrial development, some places are still the kind of feudal aristocratic society, and the lives of civilians are not very good. Therefore, few people can live to the end of their lives. It is also because people in the ninja world develop very quickly. In the ninja world, a girl of 8 years old is equivalent to about 13 or 14 years old in Naruto's previous life. In the Naruto world, a 12-year-old boy is basically independent. 16 years old is considered an adult, and you can already marry and have children. "I wonder if you are a ninja from the Sand Village?" Old Owl asked carefully. Naruto shook his head and said, "Don't guess. I am not a ninja from the Sand Village. I just came to the desert to practice this time. Let's go to the oasis quickly, we'll see you later." Naruto didn't say much. It was not a good thing for a ninja from another village to appear in the Sand Village. But Old Owl wanted to say something, but Naruto had already disappeared using the instant body technique. A sturdy young man next to him looked at the dazed Old Owl and said, "Old Owl, these are ninjas from other villages. Do we need to report them to the village? What if they are here to spy on our village's intelligence?" "Shut up, Shingo." Old Owl interrupted him and said, "No matter which village this ninja is from, we can't repay kindness with enmity. If it weren't for that ninja just now, at least half of us wouldn't have survived. We are just ordinary people, but we also have our sense of loyalty. Even if I have to sacrifice my life for saving my life, it doesn't matter." Not everyone except the villagers is a bad person. Do you still remember how our life came about? Although Old Al is old, his voice is loud, steady and convincing. The young man was a little ashamed. Yes, it's not that everyone except his own country is a bad person. Their lives are much better now than before, although they are a little busy now, it is better than working in the village and getting less wages. It's not like now, you can be idle for half a month after going out. This is all thanks to the help of the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce. They said this is called franchising. He didn't understand what franchising meant, but it sounded very profound. They authorized the brand to them and provided interest-free loans. They are simply great philanthropists. Moreover, they also signed a confidentiality contract. There are also some preferential policies for joining the umbrella organization, and the umbrella organization will not force you to do anything, you can get preferential treatment, and the umbrella organization is not a cult. Why not join? So he became a member of the glorious umbrella. As for why it is glorious, it was the person who brought him to join the umbrella. In the future, he will be proud of the umbrella. Old Al took out a book from his arms, with a few big words printed on it. Red Thought. Have you forgotten the organization's teachings? Think more, don't be blind, read more books, and you will be enlightened. That's right. Old Al is also a glorious member of the umbrella, and Old Al is also an indigo level member. Old Al was daring when he was young, and he was also smart, so he had more prestige among them. He was also the first to contact the umbrella organization, and their caravan was also organized by him, most of whom were villagers from the same village. After joining the umbrella, Old Al was gradually baptized by the Red Thought and regarded it as a classic. Abandoning the will of the wind that he had insisted on before. Old Al, who was impacted by the torrent of thoughts, began to form his own caravan, and as an indigo level member, Old Al would receive help from the organization. It also began to bring wealth to the village, and let the barren land of the wind country begin to have different colors. After that, the Seven Colors Chamber of Commerce began to station in the wind country one after another, but because of the bad weather in the wind country, it could not be expanded to the entire wind country. There are also walking merchants like Old Al. The young man said with shame, I'm sorry, I was wrong, that the young man in front of me has never been to school. Only Old Al has been around a lot when he was young and can read. After Old Al joined the umbrella organization, he began to teach these illiterate young people to read. Old Al often explained the contents of the book to them and made them yearn for it. Is it really as beautiful as described in the book? Whenever they asked, Old Al would proudly say, this is what we are doing in the umbrella organization. The meaning of the existence of the umbrella organization. The umbrella organization will naturally not care about the most basic members of the umbrella organization, because they are of no value, and only some valuable people will get the help of the umbrella organization. For example, Old Al, if Old Al's caravan had a greater influence, he would probably be upgraded and become a blue level member. The most basic members are just registered for level, and the umbrella organization will not care too much, and there are no restrictions. On the contrary, there are benefits for those who join. As for those who reach the indigo level, each person will be given a red thought. And there may be only one indigo level talent among 100 purple level people. Indigo level talents can truly be regarded as members of the umbrella organization. Only blue level talents can know where the organization's branch bases are, and they must also be bound by the organization and help the organization develop. They are the backbone of the organization. When you reach the green level, you can be regarded as the upper middle level talents of the organization. You can know where the organization's main base is, and you can go to the headquarters to participate in the joining activities. This was arranged by Naruto in order to increase the sense of cohesion and belonging of the members. Shisui didn't quite understand it, but it was very useful. Old Al didn't know much, he only knew some things about the blue level, and he was eager to become a member of the blue umbrella. After becoming a member of the blue umbrella, he would know the treatment and responsibilities of the next level. He was eager to join and fight for it, just because of the book in his hand.